Today we will continue looking at solving single variable equations using either multiplication or division. So let's get started. So here we have a single variable equation. Again, it is called this because it only has a single variable, the variable x. Our goal in solving equations is to get the variable by itself on one side of the equal sign, and it'll have a coefficient of 1. And again, when you don't see a number here, it is implied, it means that the coefficient is 1. So we have 1x, and then everything else is on the other side. There is no variable x on this side. Everything else, though, is on this side. Now, in the previous lesson, we focused on solving these equations using inverse operations. So in this case, we have x divided by 8. The inverse operation of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply both sides by 8. We have to multiply both sides by 8 to keep the equation balanced. So that's what is on the left side of the equal sign is still equal to what is on the right side of the equal sign. So when we multiply this, these 8's are going to cancel out. That leaves us with 1x equal to 16. Checking the answer, we're going to take that value for x and plug it back into the equation. So where there is an x, we'll put a 16. So we have 16 divided by 8 equal to 2. And then we'll simplify this left side down. 16 divided by 8 is 2. We get 2 equal to 2. That's a true statement. With this second problem, we have 21 equal to negative 3y. So we have y times negative 3. So we're multiplying y and negative 3. So the inverse operation of multiplication is division. So we will divide both sides by negative 3. Well, negative 3 divided by negative 3, that's 1. So we'll have y on the right side here. And then 21 divided by negative 3, that's negative 7. It's customary to lead with that variable, so I'm just going to change the order and say y is equal to negative 7. And then checking our answer, we have 21 equal to negative 3 times negative 7. 3 times 7 is 21. And then a negative times a negative is a positive, so 21 equal to 21. Again, this is using inverse operations to solve equations. Now let's look at using a few properties of multiplication to solve equations. Again, so we're going to solve the equation 7x equal to 42. Again, the goal is to get x by itself on one side with a coefficient of 1. And we don't need to show the coefficient. And then everything else on the other side. And there'll be no x on this side as well. So how do we turn a 7 into a 1? Why 1? Well, that's because when we multiply 1 to any number, the product is going to be equal to that number. So 1 is what we call the multiplicative identity. If a is any number and we multiply it by 1, we get a back. This is similar to 0 in addition. If you remember, when we add 0 to anything, just that number comes right back out. So when we were solving with addition and subtraction, the goal was to create a 0. When we're solving with multiplication and division, the goal is to turn the coefficient into a 1. Now, how do we do that? We use the multiplicative inverse, or the reciprocal. A number a multiplied by its reciprocal, 1 over a, is 1. So the reciprocal of 7 is 1/7. So we're going to take 1/7. We're going to multiply it to 7, x. And then what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So 42 times 1/7. These 7's are going to cancel out on the left, giving us x equal to 6. So instead of dividing by 7, we're multiplying by the reciprocal of 7, which is the same thing as dividing by 7. So let's solve this equation using first the properties of multiplication and then inverse operations. So if we have 10x equal to 30, to change this coefficient from 10 to 1, we're going to multiply by its reciprocal. The reciprocal of 10 is 1 over 10. So 1/10 times 10x. And then what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So we're going to multiply this side by 1/10. We do the arithmetic. Gives us x on the left side and 3 on the right. Using inverse operations to solve this problem. So we're multiplying by 10. So if we're multiplying by 10, we're going to divide by 10, because division is the inverse operation of multiplication. These 10's are going to cancel out, giving us x equal to 3. Checking our results, we get 10 times 3 equal to 30. 10 times 3 is 30, so 30 equal to 30. So if you multiply by 1/10, that's the same thing as dividing by 10. So the math step is the same. You divide both sides by 10. So now let's look at the case where we have x divided by 7 equal to 3. We can rewrite this as 1/7 times x equal to 3. So we're still looking at multiplication. So we'll multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 1 over 7 is 7 over 1. So we have 7 over 1 times 1 over 7 times x equal to 3 times 7 over 1. Now 7 over 1 is 7. So these 7's will cancel out here, giving us x on the left, and then 3 times 7 is 21. Now let's solve this equation using both the properties of multiplication and inverse operations. So let's start with properties of multiplication. I will go ahead and rewrite this as multiplication. So we have 1/8 x equal to 11. So if we have 1/8, to convert 1/8 to 1, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal is 8 over 1. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So we'll multiply both sides by 8 over 1, or 8. These will cancel out. That leaves us with 1x. So we have x equal to 11 times 8 is 88. And then solving with inverse operations. So we have x over 8 equal to 11. We're dividing by 8. So that means we will multiply both sides by 8. These 8's cancel out. You get x equal to 88. So as you solve these equations, whether you view it as using these properties of multiplication, finding that reciprocal that converts the coefficient in front of x to 1, or if you see these as inverse operations, it doesn't matter. In both cases, we did the same thing. We multiplied both sides by 8. And we end up with the same answer, x equal to 88. Checking our answer, where there's an x, we will plug in an 88. We get 88 divided by 8 equal to 11. 88 divided by 8 is 11, so you get 11 equal to 11. It's a true statement. Let's try a few more. We have negative 14 times x, so I'm going to divide both sides by negative 14. Negative 14 divided by negative 14, that's 1, so we have 1x. And negative 98 divided by negative 14 is a positive 7. Checking our answer, we get negative 14 times 7 equal to negative 98. And when we multiply 14 times 7, we get 98. And then we have a negative times a positive, so this will be negative 98. And that's equal to negative 98. And finally, we have y divided by 3. So we're dividing y by 3, so we will multiply both sides by 3. These 3's will cancel out. This gives us a coefficient of 1 for the y. So we have y by itself. And then 3 times negative 13 is negative 39. And then I'll just switch this order and write it as y equal to negative 39. Checking our answer, we have negative 13 equal to negative 39 divided by 3. So negative 13 equal to, and then 39 divided by 3 is 13. Negative divided by a positive is negative, so negative 13 equal to negative 13. A great way to learn is to practice on your own. We will discuss in a bit, but go ahead and pause your screen and do these 4 problems. For this first problem, we have negative 5x equal to 0. So x is multiplied by negative 5, so we'll divide both sides by negative 5. 0 divided by negative 5, whenever we divide into 0, when we have 0 in the numerator up on top, we'll end up with 0. For the second problem, we have 5 equal to y over 9. So we're dividing by 9. So we'll multiply both sides by 9. That gives us y equal to 45. In this problem, we have 153 equal to negative 17x. Getting that x by itself with a coefficient of 1, we will divide by negative 17. But we do the one side, we have to do the other, giving us negative 9 equal to x, or x equal to negative 9. Finally, y over 14, or y divided by 14, is equal to negative 5. We'll multiply both sides by 14, giving us y equal to negative 70. Continue practicing solving equations, and I'll see you in the next video.